Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Cullen Strawn. I'm the Executive Director for the Arts at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. And it's my great pleasure to present today's program to you. It's part of our annual literary festival. And we also have coming up in the spring related to this program an exhibition that I and others have worked on for about 5 years. It's called Art from Guantanamo Bay. It will be presented in this gallery where I am now at the Baron and Ellin Gordon Art Galleries on the campus of ODU. And it will be up all spring semester, so mid-January through mid-May. We'll have some great programming that goes along with it, just like today's program. And the theme of our literary festival this year is called Afterwards. We use a quote from Haruki Murakami that reads, "When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in." And our short description of the festival is, in the aftermath of trauma, if it ever really ends, we are called to reckon with the past that led us to this present moment, and with the question of what futures we might make from it. Survival is triumph, but it's also a process of change, leaving us reborn to question, to celebrate, to recognize. And that was written by our co-directors of this year's festival, Catherine Jackson and Kent Wascom, who teach in the English department in the MFA Creative Writing program here at ODU. So to move on, I'm really happy that Mansoor just came out with a memoir called Don't Forget Us Here, Lost and Found at Guantanamo. And that's available both at Hachette Books, which you can go to online to download a PDF or get a hard copy or an audio book. And it's also available at the ODU bookstore, which you can find online. If you go to odu.edu/litfest, all of the books are available there for purchase from all the authors throughout the festival. Now, speaking of the audio book, it's very interesting because Mansoor felt strongly that it should be a female that read the book. And in the spirit of that, I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague who I've worked with for almost 5 years on the Art from Guantanamo Bay exhibition, Dr. Aaron Thompson. And Aaron, would you like to say a few words? You have a very interesting and I think completely unique title. Say a few words about that and about what you do.
Hi, I'm a professor of art crime at the City University of New York. And I first got involved with Art from Guantanamo when Beth Jacobs, who's Mansoor's longtime lawyer, called me up and said, "Hey, I heard you do exhibits. Would you like to exhibit art my clients have been making at Guantanamo?" And I said, "What do you mean they're making art at Guantanamo? That makes no sense." And that surprise is something that carries over, that so many people have felt. And I've had the privilege of meeting several former detainees, and Mansoor is definitely my favorite. I can see him making a face right now. But it's like we're family now. And he has taken his horrific experiences and made them into many surprising things, including this great memoir, this work of art. So I am happy you are here today to hear him talk, and I really encourage you to see the artwork made by Mansoor and by his fellow detainees, his brothers as he calls them, on display at ODU starting in January.
Thank you so much. And so everybody now, Mansoor asked Aaron to select a few passages to read from his book before he comes on screen. So Aaron, I will disappear and give you the floor, and we look forward to the passages that you selected.
I'll read for just a few minutes. I'll start with the first few paragraphs of Mansoor's book, which opens when he's being held at a black site in Afghanistan. And then I'll skip ahead to a few pages from his early experiences at Guantanamo. I waited in darkness for death. The interrogators were done with me. You aren't valuable enough to keep alive, they said. I didn't have the intelligence they wanted on Al-Qaeda's chain of command. They bound my hands with duct tape, then taped my eyes and ears. They taped my mouth and then pulled a hood over my head. They dragged me outside into the cold and forced me to my knees. I hadn't seen the light of day in weeks, and I thought I would never see blue sky again. I'd been kept hooded or inside dark rooms, stripped naked and beaten bloody for I don't know how long, weeks, a month, maybe more. I was in Afghanistan, but I didn't know where. If I hadn't lived it, I wouldn't have believed what happened to me. It happened so fast, and none of it made sense. It all started days before I was supposed to return home to Yemen, when my friend and I were ambushed on the highway in northern Afghanistan and kidnapped by warlords. At first, they just wanted our truck and to ransom us for money. I grew up in a tiny village in Yemen that had no electricity or running water. I'd been told all my life that I was smart. I was 18 and full of the stubborn confidence boys can have it at that age. I'd never been in a situation I couldn't talk myself out of. None of that mattered when the United States started bombing and dropping leaflets offering reward money for Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters. The warlords got a better price selling Arabs to the Americans. The warlords told me to say that I was Al-Qaeda or the Americans would kill me. The Americans told me they knew I was an Al-Qaeda leader, a recruiter, a middle-aged Egyptian, and all that I had to do was admit it. None of it was true. The Red Cross explained that the Americans needed to keep us healthy and alive. And they did, barely. It wasn't humane, but it meant they didn't plan to kill us. It was a simple logic, one that kept me alive, though it didn't explain what they planned to do with me. Drink water, the soldiers yelled at us. This, too, became a part of our day. Drink water, they screamed all morning until we drank a full canteen and showed it was empty. Hundreds of times, thousands of times, you couldn't refuse water. If you did, they sent that pack of soldiers with armor and helmets to beat you until you did drink. And yet, in all this chaos and pain, there were moments of wonder that reminded me of the beauty in the world, even in a place like X-Ray. There were huge and hairy spiders, and there were big furry animals that snuck around the block at night. We learned these were banana rats, but the most amazing creatures were the iguanas. I had just finished praying quietly to myself when I saw an iguana scurry through an open gate and down the center of our block. I had never seen an iguana so close, and I thought I might be dreaming. She was big, at least 3 feet long. Who was this crazy, beautiful creature with golden eyes? How could such a creature survive in this horrible place? I'd seen her from a distance earlier when I was taken to the medical tent. She sat on a rock and watched us from above. The soldiers all around ignored her like she wasn't even there, but I saw her. When she scurried toward my cage, soldiers got out of her way like she was royalty. It was strange and wonderful to see her break all the rules without a care. My neighbors called out to her to get her attention, but she ignored them too and came right to my cage. Assalamu alaikum, I whispered. Peace be upon you. She turned to me and pierced my heart with her kind eyes. The connection was instant, like we were old friends. Hello, princess, I whispered. I'm from Yemen, the country of love. Who are you? Her skin was green like the color of coffee leaves, and she had yellow stripes down her tail. The guards shouted at her to leave. Instead, she came closer. We have our first guest, Yosef whispered. Brothers whispered from cage to cage about the iguana sitting with me. With everything that had happened to us, her arrival was like a gift. The soldiers left me alone with her. I would learn later that she was a protected animal and that soldiers could get fined $10,000 for touching or harming iguanas. She had more rights and freedom than we did. What do you think about all these men in orange? I whispered. I know, we're a sad bunch of animals, all beaten and bruised, but you shouldn't be afraid of us. When soldiers brought our next meal, I shared what little I had with her. Yemenis are known for our hospitality, and my village was famous for it. Travelers going north and south, east and west had to pass through and stay the night. My tribe fed every traveler and offered them a place to stay for free. It was our custom, and as a tribesman, I had learned it was an honor to be generous to your guests. I felt bad that I didn't have much to offer. Anyway, the food was bad, and she didn't eat much. I wasn't offended. I was happy she stayed. When the soldiers saw that I fed her, they banged on my cage, but still she refused to leave. I apologized for their behavior, I whispered. They're not very good hosts. Their tribes would be ashamed. She stayed with me for a long time, sitting next to my cage, listening to me describe the beautiful mountains of Raima with the terraced farms carved into the slopes like steps. She listened to me cry quietly, away from the others, when I told her I thought I might die here and never see my home again. She didn't have to say anything. Her presence gave me comfort, even when the soldiers came to my cage, knocked me to my knees, shackled me, and dragged me away to interrogation.
Thank you so much for that, Aaron. That was beautiful. And we really appreciate you and all of your work. So glad to have connected with you and be working toward this exhibition. And once again, everybody, that's going to be on view mid-January to mid-May. It has works by Mansoor. It has works by Moath Al-Awi, who makes amazing three-dimensional sculptures of ships. You can go to the New York Times and see a beautiful 6-minute video of those ships and a gentleman reading in Arabic words that Moath wrote. Thank you to Beth Jacob, who you mentioned, the attorney for Mansoor and Moath. And thank you so much, Aaron. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mansoor Adayfi to you. Mansoor was kidnapped and rendered to Guantanamo Bay when he was just 18 years old, just a teenager, and spent 14 years there without being convicted of a crime and without even being charged of a crime. And that is true for all of the artists in our exhibition. So everybody, please welcome Mr. Mansoor Adayfi. Hello, brother. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good day, good night. Wherever you are, hi.
Yes, it's so good to see you and your orange scarf. Why do you wear the scarf?
Okay, leave this later.
Okay, for later. Well, then we can jump in to some questions that we've prepared. The first one is, in your book, in the opening passages, you write that your aim is, quote, to show the world what life was really like, end quote. Building on Aaron Thompson's reading of your passages, tell us then what life was really like and what life has been like since leaving.
First of all, thank you so much for having me today. I would like to welcome all the guests. Before I start, I would like to thank, because publishing that book, it's not my work, it's a teamwork. It took lawyers, editors, friends, Andy Hart. I would like to thank first Andy Hart, my deceased lawyer, and Beth Jacob, and the wonderful woman and my mentor, Aaron Thompson. I mean, without her, I mean, she is, for the last 5 years, we have been working together, Art from Guantanamo. She has been guiding me and through my journey, my faculty, and so on. And there is a lot of people actually working that. Antonio, Elo, my editor, and a lot of people. I really appreciate their help and support. Without them, I wouldn't be at that moment, at that day. So that said, let us speak. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah. So you say that you want to portray what life was like, and obviously you were fortunate enough to be released. Moath Al-Awi is still there after almost 20 years. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Guantanamo Bay, which opened just 4 months after.
I would like to answer your first question, which is about the book. You know, I want like when I start writing that book. First of all, I lived it second by second, moment by moment, and I have a talent of writing. First, alhamdulillah, it's talent. I used to write for my brothers at Guantanamo, and when they wanted to write letter to their families, they had the emotions, they had the feelings, but they don't have the words to actually put them in words. So they came to me. I would translate. I would talk to them and say, okay, I write a letter to their family, wives, mothers, daughters, and so on. When I moved to the communal living in 2010, I started thinking, okay, I need to write a book. So I started asking the people, what kind of book had been written? They told me that kind of book and similar story, personal stories. So I said, like, I'm going to write a different book, a different perspective from different angle. So initially, I named the book Moments from Guantanamo. It's like part of our daily life stories of the brothers, the guards, campus staff, about Guantanamo itself, how it started, how it grows, how it evolved, how it changed, and how it changes people. However, in 2013, when the camp administration locked us down, they took I wrote two books. One like as documentary, the second one was Movement from Guantanamo. Both were taken and confiscated. So I was like, I felt they took my child. In 2015, I got a new lawyer, Pat Jacob. So I started writing again this time, and I wrote it. I used to go to the classroom, white chain and shackle to the ground, to the floor, and write it as letters, as legal letters to my lawyer. So she collect those letters and send them back to secure facility. And from there, we managed to get it out. For the last 3 years, I have been working with Antonio Ailo. Also, Aaron Thompson played a big role in the book because we also read this, read that, and she gave a lot of consultation and help. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for that, Mansoor. And our next question, the treatment and torture that you describe in the book is horrific. It's worse than the worst gory films I've seen or anything that I've personally experienced. I think that's true for most people. How does a human being survive these experiences?
Yeah, if you talk about our experience, how we survived Guantanamo before we jumped dive deep to Guantanamo. First of all, if you look at Guantanamo, it is kind of like a place outside the law of the island, outside the law. It was intentionally selected to be that place because Bush administration, before they created a reality, they constructed the language. So what they call detainee, prisoners of war, they call them detainees. And that place they call Guantanamo a detention facility, which actually American law doesn't apply. Cuba law doesn't apply, international law doesn't apply. So we were there actually totally disconnected from the world, from our families, from the justice system, from everything. So Guantanamo is a black hole inside the military base at Guantanamo. When you arrive there, we had no shared life together as prisoners because we didn't know each other. And what makes us person, as a human being, as a unique human being, is your name, your memories, your emotions, your values, your morals, your ethics, your religion, your faith, your experience, your life. That make you as specific, as a unique person. Imagine that Guantanamo is a place where try to strip everything of you and turn you into something you are not. Like our name were taken, we become numbers. The day life we used to live before Guantanamo, we're not allowed even to talk, to stand, to shake hand, even even to look at the guards. So we at the beginning we were shocked, we didn't know what to do, we didn't know what to expect. And because imagine people from around the world, 50 nationalities, over 20 languages spoken, just arrived in one place. And first it was a shock, it was a lot to process. Even our mind couldn't keep processing what's going on there, but it happened so fast and a lot. And it's not just that, the way we were brought, it was like a death, it was like a journey to death. We were like over 40 hours journey, not sleeping, no eating, no drinking, beating all the way. Few weeks when we spent, like, we tried to understand, tried to process, where we were, because we had no idea where we were. So we started some kind of, trying to first to introduce each other to each other. So one of the things that help us to survive, first of all, is our faith. As Muslims, we have strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that no matter what happened, our destiny, our life, it is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, the things that we brought with us, it become our mean to survive. Because the thing I mentioned, as it 50 languages or 50 nationalities and 20 languages, all kind of people. You have teachers, students, nurses, doctors, mafia bosses, drug addicts, all kind of people. Those people brought with them their memories, their cultures, their experience, their emotions. So when we start interacting with each other, we started exchanging what we have, knowledge, because at Guantanamo, we weren't allowed to have pens or books, even talk. So we start little by little, try to fight our life there, try to resist, try to make sense of the situation. So one of the things also, our knowledge, the knowledge we brought with us. So we used to give each other classes. A journalist would give a class in journalism. A doctor would give classes in medics. An artist would give a class in art. We have a wedding class. The older brothers actually educate the younger brothers, and so on. So the things that help us to survive there, our memories. Imagine just someone remove your memories. You become a shell. Become like you don't think about yourself. You don't remember anything, or your knowledge, same thing. So those things we take for granted every day, it becomes our means to survive at Guantanamo. Also, we develop some kind of sense of humor. First of all, we took things seriously, react, one hunger strike, fighting back. Then we figure out we are hurting ourselves. So we develop like, okay, this is our daily now. We just making fun of each other, of the guard, of something. It hurts, but we try not to show our pain, because showing other pain, you are hurting them. At the same time, when you live at the moment, you're imprisoning yourself at it. So let it go. So it take practice, trust me. One of the things that help us to survive there, taking each other, helping each other, supporting each other. This was big deal, because I can tell you only maybe 15% who was the front line, who was taking all the hitting or the beating, and the rest were trying to resist a little, but 15 or 10%, the one who really stood up, and I call them the red eyes. That hardship and struggle forged brotherhood, friendship, and helped us as a whole to survive. Because when General Miller arrived by the end of 2002, by the way, General Jeffrey Miller is the one who tortured prisoners in Abu Ghraib in Iraq and other jails. He started at Guantanamo, where he turned Guantanamo, what they call it, America's battle lab. I mean, where they start developing what they call enhanced interrogation technique. They started experimenting on us, interrogation. Actually, psychologists supervised everything. So at the beginning, we just reacting to whatever they threw at us. Because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what's going on there. And those people really smart, and they have their own systematic way of dealing with us and experimenting us over and over again. So basically, it takes us time. I mean, it was hard and difficult, but also the quantity of the people, a lot of people. One of the things we used to also cheer up each other when someone get hurt, or especially when they start the program of torture. If anyone was taken from the block, because everything was classified in Guantanamo, the food, the medicine, our pain, like it's classified. You have to talk to your interrogator. So whenever they took anyone to interrogation or anyone would be taken out of the block, we would sing حبا روح مع السلامة الله يزيدك أمن وسلامة, which mean go with peace, may Allah grant you more safety and peace. And anyone arrived at Guantanamo or arrived at the block, the same thing, we would sing for them. I remember when new groups used to arrive, they brought new groups from either from Pakistan or from Afghanistan. People on the airplane for maybe 2 or 3 days, and they were beating, tired. Imagine being hooded and someone sing for them. The brothers said, like, what? Are they joking with us? Are American playing with us? Someone is singing for us, like singing Arabic too. I think it's a joke. So we tried when our brothers, we knew they have been through a lot. So when they arrived, I mean, like three blocks, around 150 brothers would sing collectively together. حبا حبا باللي جا يا مرحبا باللي جا. When a brother would arrive hooded, when they remove the hood of his head, he would look around. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. What's going on here? I thought I'm going to arrive in like special palace or something. I'm in a cave. He said, well, we tried to make it easy for you. This is our gift. So we tried also to help those like not to be shocked at the situation, and to help a lot. So basically, surviving take a teamwork, not just one person. I start from within us, so helping each other, taking care of each other, exchanging what we have, because after years and years and years, imagine 50 nationalities, different, the beautiful Guantanamo diversity of the culture arrived there. That culture melted together, mixed, and become Guantanamo culture. Beautiful. Imagine we used to celebrate in one night. Each block, they have their own night to celebrate. In one block, 48 cell or 48 brothers. You can hear a song in Arabic, English, Pashto, Farsi, Urdu, French, all kind of languages, poems, stories, dancing. That melted after years. It become you can hear a song, same song mixed with different words from different languages. The dance, we call it Guantanamo dance, mixed with different dance from different countries. That happened because there was some kind of acceptance, love, respect, and care. Sorry, I'm just trying to put you in the picture how we survived through the years. Of course, there was hunger strike, there were beating FCE teams, but I hope we survived.
Oh, that was beautiful. I love how you brought culture and community into it, and the fact that we need each other. At this university, we study resilience a lot, and a lot of times what people mean by that is, Norfolk is sinking and the sea is rising. So what do we do? But there's also so much in our lives that has to do with social unrest and with wrongs, that are done to people. So we just look up to you and commend you for your resilient spirit, you and others who kept each other alive. You not only went through that physically and mentally, but while you were there, you made some artwork. I'm going to bring some of it up on the screen, and I wonder if you might give us some insight, into these pieces and any meaning that's behind them.
Yeah, before we jump to talk about the painting, let me give a little brief about art from Guantanamo. Actually, art from Guantanamo is one of us. We treat it as individual, as a living being, because that art born at Guantanamo, grew up at Guantanamo, treated like as we treated the same way. Art classes started early at Guantanamo on the styrofoam. This is not styrofoam, but however, I'm just giving you some examples. Rather started because we're not allowed to have any kind of pens or paper. So the brothers would take some kind, like what left, stones, or draw on the styrofoam, hearts, sea, sun, whatever. And at the beginning, it was taken seriously by the Khmer administration. They said, this is something, messages or signs or codes, maybe from some kind of like alien in some galaxy, whatever. So those, they were brought cameras, take photos, special gloves, special bags. Like, what's going on with these people? So crazy. I mean, it's like, so every time we did that, they would collect those clamshells and write our numbers and come investigation. So okay, we found something to drive them, to make them work, or like, so we found something to play with them. We're like, okay, we start do things on the cement floor, on the cage pools, isomat, or in the water container. Everything was taken away and was put in some special bags, cameras, and will be used as evidence. It was crazy at the beginning. That was so paranoid. Anyway, so then when we moved to the cage, the cages, we used to also have shiny sinks. So we moved from Camp X-ray to open cages, where they have now, we become like more human. They give us like a hole in the ground to use it as a toilet. So a shiny sink too. So we used to use the sword and to write or draw in the sink. Same thing. We get punished, taking the soap, our stuff. Also, the brothers used to take art classes, theoretical art classes. There was like artists who studied art or graduate of art. They used to give theoretical some, and sometimes the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross, would come once or 3 months, and we had 20 minutes to write letters. Not all of us, people, only a few people. Those who were under interrogation were not allowed, who like in the blacklist. So the brothers would sometime starting like painting or write like poems, because one of the things started, people start also art. It's not just like painting, writing, poetry, and so on. The art classes didn't start until 2010. We negotiated with the government. We were in force feeding and hunger strike when the Obama came to the Black House. Sorry, we call it the Black House. We weren't allowed to have some kind of art classes, and life improved because Obama failed to close Guantanamo, and they want to come us down. So we were so tired, and we knew it's not going to be closed. So we said, okay, let us give us some rest, because we spent the last 8 years, 9 years in solitary confinement, hunger strike, force feeding, QRF team, and it's a lot. So we need to take a little to have some peace. So we started negotiating with the camp administration classes. I remember the first time we sat with the camp commander, we said, okay, we need art classes. I said, what art classes? You guys are terrorists. You didn't know how to paint. It's okay. Next time we ask our brothers just to paint with the pen and paper. They were surprised. Then from that, it took a long time to start the art classes. So it was, I wrote a book about art from Guantanamo. I think Ellin has read it. Has read it. It was, when we used to go to the art class, we weren't allowed at the beginning. It was cameras. You're not allowed to paint a lot of things. It take a long time, but we weren't allowed to have 45 minutes, and you are not allowed to have to take anything with us. At the same time, we had to paint first. Then they will take the painting and they will scan it. It takes two. They call joint task force and other branch in the camp administration. They have to approve. Everyone has to approve it. If the art get approved, each painting will get like stamp in the ass like us, and get a number, and will be searched and scanned for any numbers or poison and so on, just like us. However, if the painting didn't get approved, it will be sentenced to death. That's it. Like, so the fate of art was like our fate. Arts as Guantanamo used in our PRP's periodic review board to prove that we are good people, and because they used to, okay, they are doing some art. Our art actually start defending us and start like helping us to win our PRPs. Also, the art will take the same process to get freed from Guantanamo. The same process has to, any painting would leave Guantanamo has to go to the process for numbering, stamping, searching, approving. If denied, will stay at Guantanamo or sentenced to that, basically. So we painted, alhamdulillah, a lot of artwork, and as much as we could. And that art actually was our way to escape the pain of being in jail, that art connected us to ourselves, to the world, to the life that we have almost forgot. Because when remember I told you what make you a person as a person is your memories. We brought with us our memories to Guantanamo, but imagine you live 10 years. You start constructing a new memories that cover or push away your old memories. You become distant from your family, from your life before Guantanamo, from your relationship, from your emotions. That life become just like a dream, like all things you don't remember anymore. When I moved to the communal living, I noticed because they used to move us a lot around from a block to block, from camp to camp. So we used to meet in, hunger strike, force feeding, riot team, and so on. But when things changed all of a sudden in 2010, we met again. So for 10 years, for 9 years, we had been building a shared life. Before Guantanamo, we didn't have any shared life. We start building a shared life, shared memories, shared emotion, relationship, whatever you call it. We become part of each other life. Guards, detainees, iguanas, campus staff, wherever. It is there. This is our new life now. We are totally disconnected from our previous life before Guantanamo. When we meet again in the communal living, we start talking about only about the 9 years. We start talking about the torture, the interrogation, the hunger strike, the first feeding, the good moment, the bad moment, the good guard, the bad guard, the brother who left, the brother who died there. We start talking about those times. I was like, oh, we are going deep in our imprisonment because we thought we are given some freedom, but we weren't actually. That freedom to be just take us deeper and deeper because we start remembering that what we have together. I mean, yes, when you social with people, we become part of each other life, and we become this is now our life now. We don't talk about the life before Guantanamo. So when we start making art, we started now painting the things we missed, like trees, the sea, the moon, the stars, food. We start, things we missed, and things that connect us to ourselves, to our memories, to our life. It's so beautiful. So when you paint a flower or sea, you imagine yourself swimming there, or sitting there, or flying there. For example, this painting I painted, it represents life and death. It's not just life and death, in everything. You have the choice. I mean, dark side and the light side, same flowers, how to represent life and death, because desperate times is like a thin line between life and death, between hope and despair. It's a thin line, and you can choose. So that's one of the painting. Like when I imagine my situation at Guantanamo before, like when I was bad situation and so on, this is how I was. This is when I look at the bright side, how it was. So yes.
How
Also,
about
this is the things we miss, like because when we have been kept for a long time in solitary confinement, we're not allowed to see the sun, light 24 hours. When we moved, everything is covered. I mean, yes, the things you take for granted, the blue sky, the beautiful blue sky, we miss that color, we miss that scenery. I mean, the first time I remember, wallahi, when I saw the sky, I just dropped my mouth. I kept crying because I felt I felt I'm free. Well, I wasn't free, but there is something. I mean, vast creation. This the beautiful sky. Look at it. I miss it so much for like 9 years.
mm, we have another one here. This one is
Oh,
fascinating and will
are,
be
are
in.
you sure? Are you sure you want me to talk about this? This is a little hard, guys. Anyway, this I remember what that time when I was on force feeding, on hunger. Sorry, on hunger strike. On hunger strike was one of the. It was our tool to fight back, to resist, because the time you keep silence, the time you stop resisting, the time you stop protesting, the time you stop proving that you're alive, that when you give your oppressor a mean to oppress you, that keeping silence, it is just another way of oppression. So when I was in force in hunger strike, they took me to the BHU behavioral health unit. It's like where the psychiatrists operate. I was accused to be like an instigator, a head of Al Qaeda cell who brings jihad to the United States, wherever. So they took me to the beach. You were like sleep deprivation on bright light. I stopped eating. I stopped drinking. They used to give me just IVs. So it was one of the toughest time because I got news that I lost my lawyer. I lost my sister. I lost my brother. I lost. I remember my Wabbah, one of the brothers who died there. So I imagine at that time, I imagined the sky over my head. I mean, like I was like really in a tight place. I used to sit like that in the while the hunger strike because while when hunger strike we can't start. I spent 75 days, sorry, 57 days on just water or they give us some kind of IVs. So when I stopped my hunger strike, I went to the art class. I painted this, dark moments there. Like you didn't see any, there is no sign of life, just a shell person. There is no life whatsoever. Yes. Next, my friend. Sorry,
Okay.
guys. Sorry.
No, we want to learn.
So yeah, this is the heart. I mean, this kind of broken heart, the love, the emotions, and the healing, and so on. Yeah, I mean, at Guantanamo, one of the things I always felt that there's a missing something. I'm not complete. There is something, not something. I feel like sometimes shell, like sometimes just I'm a shallow like. So I was thinking like what I miss. It's a wife. So I'm still looking for my wife. Actually, she might looking for me. So one of the things, because I created my own world in Guantanamo. This one that think I used to escape being in jail, just lay down on my back. I'm not gonna take it because it's still classified. And I created my own world, like go there. I remember Muad used to see me sometimes smile. Mansoor, I said, what? You're like, why are you laughing? I said, okay, I'm sitting with my family. Don't go there. You are messing with my mind. I said, I'm not at Guantanamo. Don't talk to me. So yeah, sometimes like it's at Guantanamo, each brother find a way to escape of the jail. Anyone find their ways. This is one of the moments there.
Mansoor, you also sent me a special song with a video. Would you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah. Actually, that song is written by a former Guantanamo brother. His name Faiz. He's from Kuwait. He's also a poet. One of the nicest brothers I met at Guantanamo. After Guantanamo, he wrote that song about keeping hope and not to despair and submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because as I told you, as Muslims, our faith play a big role in our survival and survivor in our life, in our relationship, and everything. Say, can you play it, please?
Yes.
في رضاك في رضاك كل آلام السجون كل ما فيها يهون كل آلام السجون كل ما فيها يهون في رضاك في رضاك بغية العليم منية الكريم يراك في رضاك في رضاك كل آلام السجون كل ما فيها يهون في رضاك في رضاك بغية العلي منية الكريم لن يراك أن يراك من سواك من سواك إن تفانى في هداك أو تسامى في حماك إن تفانى في هداك أو تسامى في حماك من سواك من سواك يطلق القيود يمنح الخلود كي يراك كي يراك قد أتاك قد أتاك بالعيون الدامعات في الليالي الساجيات قد أتاك قد أتاك روعة الجمال هيبة الجلال أن يراك أن يراك من دعاك من دعاك جاءت البشرى إليك بالعطايا في يديك جاءت البشرى إليك بالعطايا في يديك من دعاك من دعاك نظرة النعيم منحة الكريم أن يراك أن يراك في رضاك في رضاك والآم الصبر.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mansoor. Just a couple more questions before we close the program. In the past, you've spoken to me about Guantanamo Bay, not only as a physical location in Cuba, but as a broader idea around the world. Can you say a little about this and about what you think should be done?
You know, when you look at Guantanamo, what the George W. Bush administration wanted to communicate to the world, it's not about American safety or security. It was they wanted to send a message that they can't go as far as they want. They don't care about any kind of law or restrictions or morals whatsoever. Secondly, if you look at Guantanamo now, Guantanamo becomes a symbol of torture, injustice, lawlessness, abuse of power, indefinite detention. It became also a death sentence for the brothers who still held there. Imagine people held there for the last 20 years without any kind of right or being charged or anything. Also, at the same time, some of the people who still at Guantanamo had been cleared in 2010 and 2009. Guantanamo is an idea. It's not just a physical place, because when we look now at the Middle East, Egyptian or Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and other countries, they have their own Guantanamo with their own flavor. After 9/11, the United States or the George W. Bush administration, they announced war on terror. When they legitimize some kind of rules, actually any Muslim can detain for any reason. Those people use the same concept, counter-terrorism, where people, freedom fighters, activists, anyone who oppose those regime, they crack down, they tighten the rules, and anyone, like one of the very victims you hear about it, that Khashoggi was killed murdered in Turkey. And how many thousand in Egyptian jail, in United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, all the same accused with terrorism or arrest under counter-terrorism law. And this is the idea of Guantanamo. They believe, or they think, if our boss, the American government, can do it, why not? Why not? So Guantanamo is not the physical place. It's the idea that used to strip people freedom, indefinite detention, without any right or trial or charges. Yeah, this is why I wear the scarf, to show solidarity with the brothers still there, and also to bring to the world that we are against the idea of Guantanamo and as it is.
Thank you for that. Um, and then final question. There are a lot of us who have undergone severe trauma. I'll say nothing to compare to Guantanamo Bay, but severe nonetheless. It could be international defamation of character. It could be an employer, chronically taking advantage of you. It could be physical abuse, mental abuse. Over my right shoulder are 13 original works by Jean-Michel Basquiat. And, in his case, he had a perfect storm working against him. Um, Woke up in the hospital with his chest cavity open. They had to remove his spleen. 8 years old, he got hit by a car in New York City. His mother ended up in a mental institution. He had a strained relationship with his father all of his life. Um, and then overnight, he was catapulted to international fame as an artist. And he went from having no money excuse me, he went from having no money to having more money than anybody he knew. Sounds like a good thing, but people come out of the woodwork. They want to take advantage of you. So he went inward. He was lonely. He was isolated. He turned to heroin, and he passed away at age 27. Given everything that you've been through, do you have any advice for us, or anyone who's going through severe trauma?
Look, this is our life. It's the beauty of it. We have difficulties. We have difficult time. I mean, when you look at emotions, it is two sides of emotions, a balance. It is up to us to balance those emotions, and you will find difficult. You will face difficulties. You will think. Sometimes you will feel this is the end. I can't take it no longer. But trust me, the life within you, it is stronger. It is more powerful than anything you imagine, because it is the life itself. So, in order to get out of it, you have to go through it. You have push yourself little by little, and don't imprison yourself at that moment, at the specific time or the specific emotion. Because, for example, when I was at Guantanamo, I went through stages. Like any teenager, any man, like any person. It was like I went through hate, courage, fear, anger. But what I learned, just move on. I was going through a dark tunnel. If I allowed myself or imprison myself at that emotion, at that status, at that moment, I will never get out of that tunnel. I kept moving, alhamdulillah. I made peace with Guantanamo. And I'm talking about it almost like every day, write about it every day, discuss it every single day. Not all of my brothers can do that, alhamdulillah. But at the same time, value for your life, value yourself, and just value yourself. At the same time, you will face these difficulties no matter what. Anyone, any like has to face these difficulties. It's not about the difficulties, it's the way how we deal with them, how we interact with them, how we solve them. It just keep move on forward, because alhamdulillah, we have been given every single day a new day. It's a message: start over, start new, start over. After the dark there is light. Just keep moving. This is a single message every single day. All of us get it. If you look at it, sun came out every day. Hey, move on. Stars, the moon, the beautiful light. So please have hope and keep move forward.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. We've greatly benefited from your time and your efforts and your willingness to share your experience with us. In closing, is there anything else that you would like for people to know about you, or about your Guantanamo brothers, or about what is behind you there on the wall?
First, behind me is it is the end of my story. This is Life After Guantanamo. This is the second book, inshallah, and also Aaron part of this book. But I would like to say to the people, life is precious. Every single life is precious, is sacred. Also, at the same time, helping each other, supporting each other, learning from each other, accepting each other, loving each other. That what help us to survive, because as a whole, because none of us can survive by himself. Trust me. If someone believe he can survive by himself, no. Imagine all the people left the earth, like no one's there, just by yourself. So at the same time, I would like you to join me to call President Biden to close Guantanamo once for all. I think, as I told you before, Guantanamo has become a symbol of oppression, injustice, and so on. That the reason I joined Cage. I work with Cage as Guantanamo project director. Try to rally the people, protests, and so and the media to push for the closure of Guantanamo. By the end of this session, I thank you all the guests. I thank you, Aaron, and you, and everyone. I really appreciate having me today. And may Allah bless you all. And inshallah, we'll meet again with the TV show. Actually, we are developing a TV show called From Guantanamo with Love. We're developing with the Shiva to with the Sundance. Or we're going to talk next time with the Life After Guantanamo, inshallah.
Yes, we look forward to that. Thank you so much, Mansoor. This has been amazing and educational and inspirational. And we just want to support you and all of your Gitmo brothers, who were there and shouldn't have been. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. You can go online at odu.edu/litfest to check out the rest of the literary festival. We have so much other great programming at ODU. We have the Festival of the Moon and amazing exhibitions and music and dance and theater and film, creative writing. So check us out online. We're in Norfolk, Virginia. If you're passing through, look us up. And with this, we'll close out this program. Thank you, everybody, for watching and writing in, and we will see you next time.